Today we're going to talk about my 10 favorite languages. Um, I'm back, yeah. It's been a while, I guess. So, just about me, some facts. I grew up kind of bilingual, so my dad is from Germany and my mom is from the Philippines, so which is why I learned her language also somehow as well, and that's also I think the reason why I've always been interested in like at least let's say discovering languages and getting to know them, not learning them. But I mean, they can speak some languages, but obviously not 10 or more. Yeah, so, that's the reason why I'm really interested in this topic. So I'm just going to present you my 10 favorites. But first of all, we have to talk about my least favorite language, although I don't hate it, but it's a language that I don't like that much, which is German. So actually, I'm going to present the languages. If I can speak them, I'm going to present the languages and the language themselves. So, was ich zu Deutsch noch sagen wollte, ist, dass ich halt diese Sprache sehr unnötig kompliziert finde. Ich finde, dass ich hätte das bei meiner Mutter gesehen, und wenn sie Sachen quasi nachvollziehen wollte und ich das für mich auch verstehen wollte, habe ich das teilweise überhaupt nicht verstanden. Und ich finde einfach, dass Deutsch halt, also vor allem die Grammatik halt einfach teilweise, also sehr oft keinen Sinn ergibt. Das fängt halt schon bei solchen grundlegenden Dingen an, wie zum Beispiel der Mehrzahl, dass man zum Beispiel sagt Glas, Gläser, dann hast du Stuhl und Stühle, und dann hast du Katze und Katzen. Also man hängt ja nicht einfach nur ein S dran oder ein I, sondern es ist einfach aus meiner Sicht irgendwas Zufälliges, was man irgendwie ranhängt. Und das macht für mich halt schon, wie gesagt, bei diesem grundsätzlichen Thema die Sprache sehr, sehr schwierig. Das ganze Fallsystem ist entsetzlich, ehrlich gesagt. Es ist super schwer und ich finde das ist halt sehr unnötig, wenn Leute halt versuchen, Deutsch zu lernen im Prinzip, weil die meisten Leute in deutschsprachigen Ländern Englisch können. Und ja, außer wenn man hier wohnen will oder halt in deutschsprachigen Ländern wohnen will, dann ist das definitiv eine sehr große Bürde, die man da auf sich nimmt. Ich finde auch, dass allgemein einfach die Sprache halt ziemlich hart klingt und ziemlich hässlich, ehrlich gesagt, im Vergleich zu anderen und für mich einfach ein bisschen langweilig, aber vielleicht liegt das auch einfach daran, dass es meine Eigensprache ist. So number 10 is our South Asian languages. Let's just say maybe Hindi or so is the most obvious representative of this group. Honestly, I can't distinguish them. I'm too stupid for that. But yeah, I mean, when hearing them, of course. And I just think that they sound really chaotic, but also fun and happy at the same time, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I kind of experienced with people from that part of the world. These people, they're usually, like cliche, I have really, really big biases towards them, like only positive biases, of course, more or less, that they're really friendly and hostile, not hostile, but hospitable, and that they're also kind of a bit like everywhere there with their thoughts, kind of definitely something different compared to Germans that tend to be really organized. And yeah, I kind of really like people from that region of the world. Kind of, I think they're cool and really nice and friendly. That's kind of why I also like this language, but because of the pronunciation, of course. So the next language on this list, I think, is English. So I think English is very useful. It's the global language and it's easy to learn. It has a lot of advantages when it comes to learning it, since many words are based on Germanic and also Latin languages. And I mean, I learned English when I was started to learn English when I was 3, I think, by being exposed to American shows, cartoons. Yeah, so my problem with English is just that I have the impression that it's becoming too dominant, that it's kind of infecting other languages, that we have things like Denglish, which is a mix of English and German, Deutsch and English, where there are people, like some youngsters, that actually cannot really like form a whole sentence without using some horrible loan words from English, like cringe and whatever, like creepy. I hate that. It's something that I would almost say despise. And well, also I think that English is not the nicest language when it comes to the pronunciation. At least when it comes to the main accents. I'm not talking about like Irish English or Scottish English or Welsh. They sound really cool, but since well, there's only a really small percentage of people that have these accents or that has this accent. Well, it's not really one of my favorites, I guess. Sorry, I had some problems with my camera and with my recording program. I don't know why. But let's continue. So the next language on this list is Russian or Ruski. It's important to emphasize that you should not confound the language and the people there with the government and its policies. I mean, one of my best friend's parents are actually from Russia, and I think that the language sounds very cool and also epic at the same time. So I would actually like to learn it if it weren't for the grammar, which is said to be really difficult. There are 6 cases and not only 4, and I already explained that in German, where we have 4 cases, this is one of the reasons, or actually the main reason why learning that language is really difficult. So imagine trying to learn a language that has really different words and also a grammar that has this really complex case system. That would be a bit too much for me, I guess. So I think I would need a lot of time for that. But otherwise, I think the language is really cool. The next language is Dutch, which is Netherlands. So although I am from Germany, I didn't have that much exposure to Dutch actually throughout my life. Yeah, because I'm from the south and not from the west. I went to the northern part of Belgium once or twice, and I've been to the Netherlands. I spent like, let's say maybe 2 or 3 hours there. So, but since I'm living in Belgium right now, in the southern part, in the French-speaking part, I tend to hear it more often. Of course, it sounds similar to German, but I think it's more unique in the way that it sounds cuter, I think, and also more melodic. And yeah, I also think that Dutch speakers actually sound really adorable when they're speaking English or German. The next language is Cebuano, which is a language that probably not a lot of people are gonna know. 20 hanggang 30 milyon katao sa Pilipinas na mao Bisaya, pero minority na lingwahe na kay Tagalog. Mas importante, ang lingwahe na sa akong inahan, ako dali ko kumao Bisaya, maayo kaayo, pero pwede ko istorya sa mga tao, pero dili duga kaayo. Mas nindot ang Bisaya para nako kay Tagalog, kay mas agresibo na siya, o mas daghan og pulong gikan sa Spanish sa Cebuano. Ganahan ko gamit akong Bisaya mas daghan para mas maayo na siya. Okay, so the next language, number 5, is French, le français. Le français est une de mes langues préférées. Et j'ai commencé à apprendre la langue à partir de la 6e année scolaire. Et c'était presque toujours ma matière préférée au collège et aussi au lycée. J'ai aussi passé un semestre à l'étranger en France. Et maintenant, bien que je sois à la fin, j'ai fait mon deuxième semestre Erasmus en Belgique du Sud. Je trouve que la prononciation est, oui, plus ou moins élégante. Et ça rend la langue très unique en fait, et je pense aussi que la grammaire est assez logique comparée à l'allemand particulièrement. J'ai aussi l'impression que le français est assez utile. C'est la 5e langue la plus parlée du monde, donc on peut l'utiliser souvent. Ce que je n'aime pas par rapport au français, c'est l'orthographe qui est très difficile, très compliqué. Et ça, c'est pas nécessaire parce que il y a beaucoup de lettres muettes, beaucoup de lettres qui ne sont pas prononcées, ce qui est la raison pour laquelle ce qu'on prononce et ce qu'on écrit n'est pas du tout le même. Et ça, c'est vraiment c'est pas vraiment nécessaire, et ça rend la langue très difficile à mon avis. The next language is Portuguese, Português. So I think that Portuguese sounds very weird compared to Spanish. especially the European version. For me, it sounds a bit like Russian and even more like Polish because there are so many sounds which are really present in Polish as well. Um, so actually, I had a flatmate who was from Portugal, and every time his friends, well, were in our apartment, I was like, oh, okay, this sounds weird, but it sounds also really interesting. And that's also the reason why I actually watched many episodes of Pokemon Journeys in Portuguese, because I think that language is so awkward but interesting at the same time. The next language is Luxembourgish, which is Luxembourg. This tiny country, which has a bit more than 500,000 people, has its own national language. It's kind of it is a former German dialect, but it's now an independent language, and rightfully so. Luxembourg is actually my favorite country, especially because of its linguistic diversity, and I think that Luxembourg just sounds really cute to me as someone from Germany. And I also would say that since I'm living here in Belgium, I would say that this would actually be the perfect language for this country, since it's based more or less on German, but it also incorporates elements from French and Dutch, more or less obviously. So it'll be the perfect kind of mix for this country as an official language. Mm, I personally would really love to work in Luxembourg when I'm done with my degree, although I wouldn't like living there since it's super expensive, sadly. The next language is Japanese, which is Nihongo. So I used to watch a lot of anime when I was in middle school and high school, and I just love that this language can sound dramatic and cute or adorable at the same time, which makes it really unique compared to all the other languages which I presented here. I think that it's very, well, as I said, very different from all the other languages. And I mean, I've been exposed to many Japanese games throughout my life, like Pokemon and Zelda, which belong to one of my favorite, which are some of my favorite games of all time. And I'm also really interested in Japanese folklore. For me, as a European, it's really weird, but also cool at the same time for me. So especially these yokai stories are just awesome and super awkward at the same time. I just love them. The next and final language, and my favorite language, is Italian, l'italiano. So I can say l'italiano è la mia lingua preferita. That's more or less the only full sentence that I can kind of form in Italian. I learned it a bit on Duolingo during COVID since I got a bit bored, but I forgot a lot actually. So for me, Italian is a very interesting language since it's more relaxed than Spanish and kind of retains that coolness, and at the same time it has that elegance which you can find in French. So it incorporates kind of these two aspects and mixes them together to kind of form its own unique thing, and that's what I really appreciate about Italian. I just think that Italian sounds super cool, and that also I think it's also quite easy to learn if you know other Romance languages, and it's also of course less difficult in terms of pronunciation than French. So yeah, in general, in summary, I just really love Italian. I would really love to learn it. It's just kind of a bit sad that it's not that useful since it's only spoken in one bigger country. But if I had more time, I would definitely really use that more or less to learn Italian. So that was my list about my 10 favorite languages. What do you think about that? Maybe you can write me in the comments what languages you like and what languages you hate. Maybe German is also one of them. I don't know. And well, see you in the next time. Bye.